Okay, we're good. All right. Let's call to order our last meeting for the year, our regular council meeting for the 21st of December. With our agenda, we'll start with roll call.
President Ferguson,
Here.
Vice President Gerard,
Here.
Councilmember Fagan,
Here.
Councilmember Presser, here, Councilmember Stevens,
Here.
Mayor Gerard,
Here.
Borough Manager Snyder,
Here.
Borough Solicitor Harbor.
Here.
All right. Let's stand and do our pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And to the republic for which it stands. Captain Stevens, we do our invocation.
Almighty God, our Heavenly Father, we thank you and praise you for the blessing of this day and for all your blessings on us and our community over this past year. We thank you for the joy of this Christmas season and for your joy that carries us through the year. We're grateful for this opportunity that we have to serve our neighbors, and we ask that you would be with us now and give us your wisdom as we work on behalf of our community. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right, so we'll start with item 1. Can I get approval for the meeting agenda?
Second.
I got a motion from Councilor Stevens, second from Councilwoman Presser. Any amendments or changes? I know we are not going to discuss. Help me out. Item number 5, right, the 23 North Main Street and Arbor Grove Development Sketch Plan presentation has been removed from the agenda today. Anything else? Any other changes?
Might be important to note that it was removed at the request of the developer who elected not to come.
So noted. So noted. All right, so I got a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? There are none. Motion passes. All right, item 2, approval of the meeting minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the meeting minutes for the November 2nd workshop and the November 16th regular meeting?
I'll move.
Second. I got a motion from Councilor Gerard, a second from Councilman Fagan. Any questions or changes? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. Motion passes. All right, item 3, public input. I would say anyone in the public to rise and state your name, but we don't have anyone today. So unless the Ghost of Uncle Henry is here, we'll go ahead and skip to item 4. If anyone from the public comes in late, we can always reopen this item and have them give comments. So let's skip to item 4, the announcements.
Next council meeting, January 4th workshop and January 18th regular meeting here at 7 p.m. in council chambers. The planning commission is scheduled to meet on Tuesday, December 27th at 7 p.m. here in council chambers, though I believe that meeting will be canceled due to lack of business. Borough is scheduled to meet January 25th at 8 a.m. in council chambers. The Hatfield Museum Historical Society is scheduled to meet Tuesday, January 24th at 7 p.m. at the Hatfield Volunteer Fire Company. The borough offices will be closed Friday, December 23rd, 2022, and Monday, December 26th, 2022, in observance of Christmas Eve and Christmas holidays. The borough offices will be closed Friday, December 30th, 2022, and Monday, January 2nd, 2023, in observance of the New Year's Eve and New Year's Day holidays. The borough public hours of operation will change starting January 3rd, 2023. To highlight, the borough office will now be open till 6 o'clock p.m. on Wednesdays and will close at 3 o'clock p.m. on Fridays. And wanted to make an announcement that I am working with the auditor on the final audit. A hard copy should be delivered by the end of the year, and we are planning to schedule that sometime in January or February.
Will that be as part of our regular meeting or be a separate?
No, it will be either in one of either the January regular meeting or the workshop in February, or the regular in February were the 3 options that I provided the auditor to see when he could come and give the presentation for the 2021 audit.
Okay. All right, any questions on the announcements? I have nothing. If not, we'll skip to item 6, the final budget presentation.
So, in your packets was our, final proposed budget for 2023. We've spoken about this budget in detail in the last 2 council meetings, so just want to highlight briefly that, there's no proposed, 2023 real estate tax increase. There is a proposed increase for residential and G1 customers for electric for the flat fee, which is currently set at $12 and is proposed to increase to $15 for $36 annual cost to those who are residential and G1 customers. This will roughly bring in a little over $51,000 in revenue to Hatfield Borough in 2023. There is also a sewer EDU increase proposed in this budget. That is for the flat rate from $45, which it is currently moving to $50. That is $5 per quarter or $20 annually for residents for the flat rate for the sewer EDU. Still in this budget, we are proposing a mill and overlay for East School, Orchard, and Forest. There is ADA work, there is electric upgrades that are happening to our system. So a lot of good things are coming in 2023, and I wanted to take this time to highlight that this process could have not happened if it wasn't for the finance department in Hatfield Borough working really hard, budget, finance, and labor meeting since the beginning of October, taking a really deep dive into, looking at revenues versus expenses, trying to keep in mind that costs are continually rising around us, and we're trying to be conscious of that. So those slight increases in electric and sewer reflect those rising costs, but again, no tax increase for 2023. And I think Steve and his team did a really good job with preparing the future for what 2023 is going to look like with those electric upgrades for and those projects. So just wanted to say thank you to those departments for doing a nice job with this budget. And I was just going to leave it up to questions if council or the mayor had any additional questions. As I said, we spoke about this in detail over the past 2 meetings.
So we'll open up the floor to any council member or mayor. You guys have any questions, any numbers or? Okay. All right, having no questions on that, we'll go to item number 7, reports and correspondence. You have monthly year-to-date report.
Monthly year-to-date report was included in your packets. As you can see for November, revenues and expenses are pretty much back on track. I know we were high in September and October, higher than usual. Now we're back in, the 400,000. So at the 5.82%. And, it looks good for our total revenues versus expenses year to date.
Okay. I didn't notice any discussion on here for LST, any of those other discussions. You want to have that as well?
If you'd like, but they're included in the workshop meeting. So they'll be in the workshop meeting in January, but I can highlight where we are if you would like.
Yeah, you can just.
Yeah, sure.
I know in general, I'll start off. I know our investment fund would gain $15,000 last month, and budget labor and finance did talk about sitting down at the beginning of the year and trying to determine what we want to do with our funds. We want to keep the savings, want to pull them out, or put them in some other investments. So at the beginning of the year, we'll talk a little bit about that. The EST was up by $40,000. My numbers are wrong, correct me. We still have a month left to go on that, and LST was up 10,000.
Yes.
Year over year.
Yeah. Yeah. So the grand total for year to date, Diane pulled this for me. I think yesterday is when I sent the budget, finance, and labor. For EIT is $474,660. In 2022, we budgeted to come in roughly $425,000. So that's good. And for LST year to date, we're up to 277, I believe we budgeted 35,000 for LST in 2022. So those numbers continue to look strong. Budget Finance and Labor, has made a commitment to next year, really looking hard at EIT and LST. And using some of those funds if we need to increase our projected revenues, with including some of those funds and really taking into consideration how that's looked prior to the pandemic, during the pandemic, and coming out of the pandemic, and possibly upping what we believe could be a good projection for 2024 while we're looking at the 2023 budget.
There's no other financial questions. We'll go on to item A, new business discussion. So, item A, resolution 2022-39, authorizing no change to the real estate tax rate for 2023.
This resolution, Hatfield Borough always authorizes when we have no tax increase. It's just a resolution that states that the tax will be the same from the prior year to the next year, so 2022 to 2023. The sum of 3 mills will be for Hatfield Borough, and 2.5 will be for fire, for a total of 3.25 mills for Hatfield Borough for 2023. This is on for consideration as an action item this evening.
Any questions? All right, item B, resolution 2022-40, the residential and GLP 1 flat rate fee.
This is the resolution that would authorize to raise the customer charge and minimum charge for the residential and GLP-1 users that we talked about when I did the budget final budget review. As you can see, it goes to a $15 customer charge, which is the same as the $15 minimum charge. They're the same, one and the same that's listed on this resolution. This would authorize Borough Council to make those adjustments so they could be included in the budget.
And that was equivalent to $3 a month for $36 a year.
Correct, yes. Mhm.
Any questions? Item C, resolution 2022-41, sanitary sewer quarterly EDU flat rate fee.
This is the resolution that would allow Hatfield Borough to increase the quarterly EDU fee from $45 to $50, which was what we spoke about just previously a few minutes ago when I highlighted as an increase in revenue for Hatfield Borough proposed in the 2023 budget. That would be $20 quarterly for those residents who have one EDU. $20 yearly, I'm sorry.
So
$5.
just highlighting that, it's $56 a year total, and the increases for an average resident with one EDU.
For the,
For both of those, I think it was 86,000.
Yeah. So for sewer is $33,980. And for electric is $51,840.
Or 85,000. Which is the equivalent when you think of a quarter mil at $36,000. It's basically equivalent of about over half a million.
Okay, you get roughly 140 from a mill based on your assessed value. So you're, like Jason said, you're doing these small $56 a year increase and you wouldn't have to raise taxes. You're gaining more revenue than you would if you raised it a quarter or a half a mil.
Any questions? Other questions? All right, well, item D, item D, resolution 2022-42, approving the specific funds for 2023.
This is the resolution that council will consider this evening to appropriate specific funds for 2023. This just in other terms means passing your budget. It includes amounts for fund entities, revenues, other funding sources, including wage and compensation amounts. And that's on for consideration as an action item this evening.
Questions? All right, we'll go to item E, the Edinburgh Square escrow release number 2.
Edinburgh Square has requested escrow release number 2 for their completed electrical work. As you can see in this layout, they have requested the total $17,115 to be released. That would include the $15,500 car and duff bill that Hatfield Borough has already paid for. We paid car and duff, so we would be getting the $15,500 back, which would leave the developer roughly it's $1,615 that would get back, and then that electric escrow would be closed. And we still have construction escrow that Chad's working on. You should see escrow releases starting again in the new year for some site improvements and to close out those things for the developer. I believe all 4 houses have gone to settlement and are occupied.
Not for electric, but on the others, we should have a maintenance bond in place before we release those other escrows. For electric, we don't do that, but for the public improvements, we do. We get a maintenance bond for 18 months.
I believe the original escrow release number 1 was part of the demolition. It was split into 3. It was like demo, construction, electric. So we previously released funds in 2021 for the demo when we took down the existing house. So I believe as part of the developer's agreement, we then needs to have a maintenance bond with us. Yeah.
But Chad knows that. I'm sure he will make sure to get that.
Do we have, just talking about the completion of it overall, do you have a completion date for the remaining items that are there, the painting of the roads and those other things?
No, we do not.
Okay. Is he gonna wait to finish those few items when the weather gets warmer, do we know, or?
I'm unsure at this time when he is gonna finish those items. He is aware of that they are requested from the borough to be finished. He hasn't provided a timeline of when they will be finished.
Any questions on Edinburgh Square? All right, we'll go to item F, resolution 2022-43, the PA Small Water and Sewer Grant. And item G, 2022-44, the H2O PA grant. You want to?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, but we can both do it. You can
Yeah.
fill in. So, as you know, we have we have projects that are going on North Main Street, East and West Broad, utility replacement project. In 2019, we received some grant funds, some PA Small Water and H2O to complete these projects. Roughly, I think it was 1,090,000, yeah. So almost 1.1 million to work on this project. COVID happened, project got pushed back. As you know, costs have gone up. Year to date now, if we want to start that project, we're looking at a $2.8 million project for Hatfield Borough. We were alerted of 2 grant opportunities that have come along. Again, PA Small Water and Sewer and H2O PA, roughly between these 2 grants, Hatfield Borough could be looking at $805,444 in available grant funds for Hatfield Borough for this project. Unfortunately, what that means if we move forward with these resolutions and approving them, that we would have to push that project off. The grant would not be awarded until, I think Chad was talking about August, September of 2023. And we had talked about that we were going to start this project in 2023. When we knew the project was 1.6, and then we talked about through the budgeting process, the project was looking more around 2 million. We were okay with that. But now with the cost, 80% increases in piping, over $400,000 in curbing that could have to be replaced. We're now looking at a $2.8 million project. And talking with budget, finance, and labor, and Jason or Rich can also add into this conversation. I think we need to do the residents a due diligence and looking to additional funding for this project. Unfortunately, that's pushing the project off, but a possible $805,000+ is a lot of money for Hatfield Borough that we could possibly get. It's not a guarantee, but I think it's worth the risk, and I think we have to look into it for our residents and do the due diligence. The 2 resolutions up for consideration tonight would allow you to apply for those 2 grants. And We did also make a commitment in budget, finance, and labor that we would hold a town hall meeting in the spring to do a deep dive of this project. We know some residents are gonna have questions about the postponement because we talked about it in 2019. So, and we know residents out there, they want access to their alleyway and those things. And, we want to do a deep dive into the project, what the project's gonna look like, what the traffic could look like, what the costs are, what grants we did get, what grants we could receive. So we made that commitment tonight in budget, finance, and labor that we will hold a town hall in the spring to do a deep dive of this project along with, our engineer. So, I know it's kind of confusing when you look at the grants with the matching funds and, you know, you can't use one grant for something that's something else. We full on will have an open discussion with the public about what the funding is and what that looks like for us. But I think the highlights we wanted to make tonight is it was 1.6 in 2019, it's 2.8 now. We could possibly get $805,000+ with these two grants, and I think budget, finance, and labor was recommending moving forward.
Yeah, so, you know, when we think about $800,000, it equates to 20 mills, right? It's over 20 mills, increase the taxes that we, you know, to make up that cost difference. So we felt that it was definitely worth postponing the project for a year. It doesn't impact our ability to get the funds. We'll have to put an extension out, for the original grants. But again, potentially get another $800,000 is significant. So we felt that we were starting the process. We reached out to Senator Collette and Representative Malagari and asked them to require letters of support. Basically 5 o'clock today, everything had to be submitted, with the final passage or resolution to be added later on. Assuming that council won't do it, but like I said, budget and finance thought that, you know, $800,000 was enough that you guys would all support that without any questions. So again, we feel bad for the residents, you know, who have houses on Broad there and have more limited access to their alleyways and it delays getting full access. But I think they would agree too that that kind of significant savings for the borough is worth a little bit more delay. So, and like James said, we talked about having a town hall meeting, which we're doing as regular cadence anyway, but let's make sure we have one to talk through this project with residents. Make sure it's a specific topic of discussion, to review, to share why we did this, or why we were going to see everyone. So, yeah. So, any thoughts, questions, concerns? Okay. Thank you, Jane. Appreciate that. All right. And as she said, there are 2 action items on today for that. So, again, when we talk about budget and finance, you know, there's ways that money gets applied to things, and that's kind of detailed in the resolutions. Don't get too caught up in that. It's really the fact that it's another $800,000 between those 2. So that's really the big up. So, so that goes from just under 1.1 to almost $1.9 million out of 2.8. So that's, you know, that's pretty significant. It was a $1.2 million increase from what we quoted or what we estimated originally versus the quotes that are coming back now. So it's pretty significant. So,
Yeah, and I think to add, I said in budget, finance, and labor, I don't want to not say in a public meeting that, this came and these numbers came from your engineer from Chad, who has done an amazing job in maybe 5 business days. I'm sure he worked over the weekend to get these numbers together, the application in on time with letters of support, reaching out to Malagari and Colette and everyone else who made this happen. Chad, I know we always said it's a joint effort. He worked really hard to get this together for us and doing the research with it. So I just want to make it noted that I'm very thankful for that.
Any questions? All right, then we'll go to item number 9, old business, 2023 meeting dates.
The proposed 2023 meeting dates are in your packet. The planning commission has seen their dates and have voted to approve them at their meeting on the 12th. Just note that the council meetings are proposed to start at 7 p.m. in 2023. And this is on for an action item this evening, so we can advertise these dates in the North Penn report.
Any final last questions or comments on the dates? All right, if not, we'll go to item B, the planning commission term.
As discussed at the previous meeting, the term of Lawrence G. Stevens is set to expire December 31st. And council has decided to put him on for an appointment as an action item this evening for consideration.
And item C, the zoning hearing board alternate term.
As spoken about at the previous meeting, Daniel Rook's term as the alternate is up on the zoning hearing board as of December 31st, 2022. And council has decided for consideration to put him on this evening to reappoint him.
Any questions? All right, if not, we'll go to item number 10, action items. We'll start with A, motion to consider resolution 2022-39, authorizing no change to real estate tax for 2023.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion from Counselor Stevens, second from Councilman Presser. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? There are none, motion passes. All right, item B, motion to consider resolution 2022-40, authorizing an increase to the electric consumer charge portion of the residential and GLP-1 rate classes.
Make a motion.
Second. I got a motion from Councilman Gerard, a second from Councilman Fagan. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? There are none, motion passes. All right, we'll go to item C, motion to consider resolution 2022-41, authorizing an increase in sanitary sewer quarterly EDU flat rates.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion from Councilor Stevens, second from Councilman Gerard. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? There are none, so that motion passes. Item D, motion to consider resolution 2022-41, appropriating specific funds for 2023, i.e. the budgets. Can I get a motion to approve the budget?
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion from Councilor Stevens, a second from Councilman Fagan. Any final questions? All in favor? Opposed? There are none, motion passes. All right, item E, motion to consider advertising the 2023 Borough Council and Planning Commission meeting dates.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion from Councilman Presser, a second from Councilman Gerard. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? There are none, motion passes. All right, item F, motion to consider approving the escrow release number 2 for the electric construction escrow for Intro Square Development in the amount of $17,115.
Second.
I got a motion from Councilman Fagan, a second from Councilman Gerard. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? No, none, motion passes. All right, motion G, or item G, motion to consider appointing Larry G. Stevens to the Planning Commission to serve a 4-year term expiring in December 31st, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion from Councilman Presser, a second from Councilman Fagan. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? There are none, so motion passes. Item H, motion to consider appointing Daniel Roush as the alternate for the zoning hearing board to serve a 4-year term expiring on December 31st, 2026.
Second.
I got a motion from Councilman Stevens, a second from Councilman Gerard. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? There are none, motion passes. All right, item I, motion to consider resolution 2022-43, the PA Small Water and Sewer Grants.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion from Councilman Presser, a second from Councilman Stevens. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? There are none, motion passes. Item J, motion to consider resolution 2022-44, the H2OPA grant.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion from Councilman Presser, a second from Councilman Gerard. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? There are none, motion passes. All right, we have item number 11, motion to approve payment of the bills.
Move to pay the bills.
I got a motion from Councilman Stevens, a second from Booth, from Councilman Fagan. Any questions? Actually, I have a question on this. The Libertyville Trail, what were those costs for, McMahon? Was that, some repair work and things like that we've done, or was that more engineering?
He probably means, the Liberty Bell Trail. He did, work for the two grants, the MTF. They're for the MTF grant that we, received for the crossings at the Liberty Bell Trail and on Route 463. Yeah,
Is that
so,
additional engineering work that-
yeah,
okay.
yeah, so that just, I know he had a meeting out there with the, railroad. To just make sure, I know for the Liberty Bell Trail, run, make sure the flashers, we can't put the flashing crosswalk higher than their crossway, like, you know, those things I know we did for Liberty Bell Trail work and submitting, additional like information for the grant and paperwork, yeah.
Okay. Any additional questions on the bills? All right, so we have a motion second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? There are none. I know we're scheduled to have an executive session,
Yes, yeah.
so before we get to that, let me just tell everyone here and everyone who's watching, you know, this has been a great year. This is a year of transformation for the borough. We had, you know, a lot of our, not only our leadership change for council and mayor, but we also had staff change, significant staff changes, and everyone's reacted and done very well, and I think it's been a phenomenal year, and I know we're looking for some more changes for next year as well, so I want to wish everyone here, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and everyone who's watching the same thing. Hope everyone gets a chance to enjoy time with the family and, enjoy some time off and bundle up and stay warm. It's supposed to get really, really cold, so. But thank you all for a great year. Thank you to the community, for you guys who are part of this as well. And again, we invite the community to come out and be part of this, and we encourage all of that activity with the residents. And thank you guys for all your work. Appreciate it. Oh, happy Hanukkah too, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right, a motion from Councilman Presser, a second from Councilman Gerard, all in favor?
Aye.
Vote, none. Our meeting is done, thank you.